everybody? Welcome back to Fanzone Debate. We got an interesting matchup for you today. We got Jack Pinchuk going up against Alex Martinez. I'm Tim. I feel like shit. I think Cody also feels like shit. I think Cody's also sick. Mark, you might have to do some engaging, intense talking today. So no, I'm excited. I got my energy for it. I just might have to get up and take a shit in the middle of this. We'll see what happens. But well, like I said, we got Jack versus Alex, both players having done well this season so far. Alex just beat Richard to earn him a spot here to play Jack. Jack has had some success beating people like Brooklyn. And then I believe he lost to Joe fairly, if I'm not mistaken, who went on to the contender match. But Jack has been playing pretty well last season and this season. So I think this is a good matchup. They're obviously buddies, so they know each other. We'll see what happens. Cody, how you doing?
Again, if no one knows this unless you're inside the Fanzone chat where Tim says, hey, I need judges. But he doesn't tell you what matches you're judging for. He just tells you a date and a time. Because if he told us, he would never have judges. I get dropped in this, and I literally drop the Karate Kid. I want to go home. I hate it here. Yeah, this is my own personal hell tonight. This should be fun. Jack Pinchuk's the one person I want to play in Fanzone in a steel cage match. Like, I want to, like, brutalize him in debate so bad because I've judged enough of his. And I think Alex pissed me off so bad one time over a Scream question that I, like, couldn't see straight, like, over the picking of the villain. So who knows what the hell's going to happen tonight? And I have COVID, so it's just I'm the most irritable and probably the most rude I will ever be as a judge. So
nice.
Don't take offense, or do. I don't care.
Mark, are you sick?
And how you? No, I'm not.
He just had dinner.
Bless you.
Yes, that is true. But I finished it off screen. I thought, we would be able to get past that, but whatever. Jack, Alex are back at it again. Be fun to bring in Alex here again. Jack, I think it started as a bit, everybody hating Jack. Now I don't think it is, and that's just kind of where we're at. This should be all right.
It's never been a bit. All right, let's bring in the players. Let's talk to them real quick. Alex, welcome. You just beat Richard, and now you're playing Jack. Your thoughts?
I'm worried. I'm in danger, fam. I think I always bring really interesting picks, but the problem is the justifying. If it were just picks, I think I'd have a real shot. But it's the justifying part that we're gonna have to square away. I'm excited to be playing Jack again. Last time was really close, and this time I expect to be annihilated.
Fair enough. Jack, we bring you in. Jack, annihilation, yes or no?
I have the same fear. I last time it was really close, and this time I'm afraid because Alex knows me well, and so no, this is gonna be fun. Thought that I wouldn't have to deal with this shit again, but here we are. Alex, love you, man. I don't plan on losing to you. I'm excited for this match.
All right. Okay. Well, we are going to get into it. Here's how it's going to work. So both players drafted some categories. Then we gave them the questions based on those categories. They're going to debate them tonight before our very souls. So how it's going to work is they're each going to get 1 minute to open their arguments, followed by a 5-minute freeform debate, followed by a 1-minute closing. At the end of the debate, Mark, Cody, and I will write on our handy-dandy boards who we thought won the debate. 2 out of 3 votes wins you a point. First person to 3 points wins the match. Gentlemen, any questions?
Nope.
Great. Then let's do it. All right, so we are going to kick this one off with the first category, which was drafted by Jack in the category of Criminal Underworld. The question is, what is the best performance in a John Wick movie? So with that, Jack, you will be going first. You have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking. I will come in to give you a 10-second warning when the time comes.
Cool. The John Wick movies are more about the action and choreography than the performances. There's nothing wrong with that at all, but this question definitely makes you look at the movies in a slightly different way. With all that being said, there was one clear answer for this to me. Michael Nyqvist. Nyqvist plays Viggo Tarasov, the unfortunate father of Alfie Allen's dipshit character that sets the events of the whole franchise in motion. He simultaneously portrays the ruthless crime boss and the desperate father that's just trying to keep his son alive. He's the gold standard every villain in the franchise tries to live up to, but they essentially devolve into glorified shit disturbers that just won't leave the poor Baba Yaga alone. Ricardo Scamarico and Bill Skarsgård especially. There's actual motive behind Viggo's actions. The man brings everything to the table and gives a genuine emotion to what very easily could have been just another one-dimensional crime boss. Done.
Okay. So we're going to move over to Alex. Alex, you now have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
The first John Wick movie is a mostly serious and straight movie about guys and guns and dogs. And then Santino D'Antonio arrived, and it really took off. Ricardo Scamarcio is the turning point of the entire John Wick franchise. He rides the line of being as serious as necessary, as funny as he's allowed to be, and as dangerous as he needs to be, while also being absolutely no physical threat to John whatsoever. All of this has to be conveyed by such a specific kind of actor in a specific kind of performance. For all those many layers, I would argue that not only is Santino D'Antonio the most important character in the franchise, but in the whole of that franchise, no other actor could do what he did, even as they've tried to recapture that in the two films since John Wick Chapter 2. And I'll leave it there.
Okay. So 5 minute freeform. When one of you starts talking, I will come in to give a 10-second warning once again, but I will also throw up the 1 minute warning. I will throw up a let's move on if you guys are babbling brooks, and if you're not letting your opponent talk, I will throw up the let your opponent talk. Don't make me do that. Nick Twohig may be on vacation, but I can still sick him. So 5 minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
So, I mean, if we're going to pretend that someone is the most important character, it's obviously Alfie Allen as Yosef, but that's beside the point. Nyqvist is the outlier of the John Wick villains. He's not trying to kill John because he wants to, or for a contract, or for breaking continental rules or anything. He's trying to kill him because if he doesn't, his only son will die. He's trying to put John, the one you send to kill the fucking boogeyman, in the ground before he can do it to his son. Ricardo Scamarico, he's got nothing to do in this movie. He just has to sit down and look smug.
I don't really know if that's true. Ricardo Scamarico is actually playing a longer game than what John Wick's involved. Like, we see John Wick because he is the point of view character in the John Wick franchise. However, he's playing a much longer game than John Wick's involvement in. He's trying to elevate his own position. He's trying to get his sister out of the way. He is trying to manipulate what is, the most dangerous man on planet Earth, apparently. He's doing it all while really not having much of anything on him besides, hey, you made this promise to me. That shows that the character actually has more forethought, years past, having made a deal, knowing that eventually the time would come that he would need this favor, that he would want to be in a position of power. That actually makes him a bit more interesting than I think Nyqvist, because Nyqvist is perfectly happy with his small, meager criminal empire. He isn't, he's making these small deals, but he's not, trying to do anything. Ricardo Scamarcio, Santino D'Antonio was actually trying to do things.
I would argue that he's more opportunistic than a master planner, but that's just me. Regarding the performances, Nyqvist brings a physicality to his performance that Ricardo just does not. Nyqvist not only has to portray the complex emotions under the surface of trying to keep his son alive and still put on the facade of this terrifying, cold-blooded criminal empire boss, and he has to bring this physicality, whereas Ricardo Scamarico, like I've said before, he does nothing in this movie. His performance is the easiest performance in the whole franchise. All he has to do is sit down, look smug, or just run away when John Wick shows up. You can talk about the motivations or the forethought that went into his character. That's fine. The performance is nothing special. It's easy.
I would kind of push back on that. I would say that Michael Nyquist's instinct to protect his son is actually the most basest of all, parental instincts. The instinct to protect your son, to get your son out of harm's way. That's the basis of all of the human instincts. Michael Nyquist is a fairly one note, even in terms of like villains. And speaking of the villains of the entire franchise, the villains of this franchise are modeled after Ricardo Scamarcio, pretty much after. The Adjudicator, again, is someone that poses no physical threat to John, but still is a huge threat and a huge disruptor to the movie. Bill Skarsgård character from John Wick Chapter 4 poses some small threat to John, but he mostly lets other people get in the way and do the violence for him, because he knows that it's not really right to tango with the most dangerous man in the world.
Yeah, I agree that they are modeled after Ricardo, after D'Antonio. Like, I agree with that. I just think that's a poor decision because, like I said earlier, they just devolve from these complex villains into glorified shit disturbers that won't leave this man alone. That's all that's basically what their whole performance boils and their characters boil down to. Ricardo, like, he's fine at what he's told to do. He's just not told to do anything. Whereas Nyquist, he is. If they had more villains like him that were the heads of this enterprise and still a physical threat to John, that would be far more interesting. But they don't. That's beside the point. His performance in this movie, like, it could have just been another one-dimensional crime boss, but there's this there's this emotion he brings to it where when he first hears what his son did, he tells him, John will come for you and you will do nothing because you can do nothing. He knows his son is a dead man and he's going to just let John kill him. But then his fatherly instincts take over and he tries to do everything in his power to keep his son alive. And Michael Nyquist brings that to the forefront incredibly well, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, but he says those lines as flatly as humanly possible. They have to go to the insurance guy to bring in aliveness to that room. I'll say this for Nyquist. You said that, like, the physicality is the most important thing, but the truth of the matter is Michael Nyquist's performance boils down to doing lore for a couple of minutes and then getting into a fight that's way too long against a master assassin. He does fine with the rolling around that he has to do, but that is not necessarily a performance. That's why they have in the rest of the movies the bad guy and the person that's a threat to John, like Common or Ruby or Mark Dacascos.
Save the rest for my closing
time. Okay. We are going to start with Alex. Alex, you get 1 minute to close when you start talking.
In a franchise of mostly surface level characters, Santino D'Antonio is pulling a lot of weight. Ricardo Scamarcio is constantly looking at all the angles, looking for a way to get what he wants. Like John, he is also a man of focus and commitment, but he uses other people's sheer will as his weapons. He retains all the calm and cool of the franchise, but takes the villain game to a whole new level. A high that they're still trying to replicate even now. Nyquist was a good starting point, but dropping lore and punching is not the performance that this franchise should hinge on. Ricardo Scamarcio takes the parts of the performance that work and adds levels of intelligence that ultimately end up ruining John Wick's life. That's how good that performance is. You can see it in his face. He is constantly calculating and recalculating after every single move. Michael Nyquist doesn't have that. For all of the positives that Tektarov has, his involvement in the franchise ends at 1
time. Okay. So we're going to move over to Jack. Jack, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
it's important to remember what this question is. It's not the most important character, it's the best performance. And if we're just talking performance to performance, Nyquist beats Ricardo easily. Ricardo, he has the easiest performance in the franchise. He's just the more cowardly version of Bill Skarsgård's character from Chapter 4. If you want to boil down Nyquist's performances to what Alex did earlier, you can easily boil down Ricardo's performance to guy who won't let this old man be, and then spends the rest of the movie running and hiding from him, and then just only exists to set up the rest of the franchise. That is fine. That's a good character. That's a decent character, I guess. But if we're talking performance, there's no emotion brought to it. There's no physicality. There's nothing brought to it. It's just easy.
Time. Okay. All right. You guys ready?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Took us a while to get to those performances. At one point, Jack was like, now, on the topic of the performance, and I was like, yeah, please, God, that's the question, for the love of all that's holy. They both did end up talking about their performances a little bit. I think on paper and for most of it, I agreed with Alex, but I went with Jack. I think Jack just painted the better picture of the performance. Wasn't a lot, but it was the tried and true. TLDR, go watch the Robert versus Tyler Birch match. We just did this with them about talking more about the character. I think this one was better, but talking about the character and not the performance. But yeah, I went with Jack ultimately. Mark.
Yeah, this is I think this is a third straight match that I've judged where there's been a performance question. And we spent a lot of time on the character. It's just, I mean, I probably, of the three, this one's probably the best one, if I'm being honest, because I think in the middle of the question, both people realize, okay, we got to get to the performance at some point. So, which didn't happen in the first piece. But, I do think, like, in the end, like, it did end up going with Jack. I think just overall, he gave me a little bit more to bite on, at least as far as the performance did. I think he did just enough to win this point. So,
all right, Cody.
I think if both players would have told me they deliver that note very like bland, nothing else, like then I would believe it because they both said it as both their arguments. I kind of just like scrapped the question in my brain because they weren't giving me anything on it, and if I was just going to judge on one line that Jack pretty much gave me, I don't know where I'd be. Like I don't know if that's a fair statement. So I just battled with back and forth of where they were, like trying to like equate that to performance based on character work, but based on the performance and what they were giving me in both of the things. So I ended up going with Alex on that because I just think overall he painted a better picture of what that character performance-wise was it. And they mentioned their actor's name a couple times, so I guess they hit the enough points in the. But yeah, it's a classic problem in Fanzone about character versus performance.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jack wins the first point. We're going to move on to the next question, which was drafted by Alex in the category of Worlds of DC/DC. The question is, which DC or Worlds of DC hero has the best costume? So, Alex, because you drafted this, you're kicking it off. 1 minute when you start talking.
Perception-wise, I think I have an uphill battle for this one. I have to try and convince you all that Blue Beetle's costume is better than Batman's costume in The Batman. It is, though. Hear me out. Not only is the color scheme more visually and stylistically dynamic, the suit is also more protective. It's more functional, and it's just the far more practical suit. It is the suit with the most options, the suit with the most presence, and the suit that will get you to and from the fight the best. The Batman suit has fewest options out of any of the bats that we've seen. And the Scarab can make just about anything that it wants out of its own imagination. That in and of itself should be a death blow. Blue Beetle over the Batman.
Okay. We're going to move over to Jack. Jack, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
I mean, the Green Lantern costume could also do that, and that costume is fucking terrible. But anyway, superhero costumes have evolved a lot over the decades, starting off as essentially pajamas in Batman 66 or Superman 78 to the pseudo Iron Man suits of today. Whether it's Batman in BVS or the Flash in his solo movie, or even or Flash in his solo movie, it's just all insane. It's all just it's all just high-tech bullshittery at this point. It's overdone, it's tired, it's old, and that's just not a problem with the Batman costume. It's basically tactical body armor. It's incredibly protective. It's good for stealth. It has more functionality than the Blue Beetle costume. Yes, the Blue Beetle has a lot more bells and whistles, but the Batman is more practical, and it is just all around better.
Time. Okay. Blue Beetle versus the Batman. 5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
Jack, every single one of the bullets that ever flies Batman's way looks like it's going to kill him. Every single fall that he takes looks like it is going to absolutely be the absolute end of him. If the Batman, if that Batsuit had any kind of like particular functionality to it, even like the flights are the most terrifying thing of all time. Meanwhile, Jaime is perfectly safe going into the atmosphere. And that's just something that the Batman just cannot do.
Sure, it can fly. The design of Batman's costume in this helps provide more than enough protection. In the film, we see it help save Batman from an explosion, a fall from a fairly significant height, both with the body armor and with the flight suit that is built into it that can literally turn into, and a shotgun blast to the midsection, along with many other gunshots and bladed attacks. Batman's suit is well equipped for stealth, like I mentioned earlier, in the opening when he is going around Gotham beating the shit out of criminals in the subway, or when he's making his way through honestly pretty brightly lit places like the Iceberg Lounge. He's able to blend into the dark corners with that suit. And if we're being honest, Blue Beetle's suit is in no way, shape, or form equipped for that at all. It's able to be exploited by its enemies very easily. If they're able to disable the Scarab, you're essentially dead in the water. There's nothing that you can do. And you've got the most inconvenient suit that incinerates your clothes every time you use it.
As opposed to a suit that does nothing for anybody, you picked the Batsuit with the least amount of tactical options. It doesn't even have like shark repellent. The Adam West Batman would have honestly been a better pick because at least that one stands out. Black on black, especially going into places like the Iceberg Lounge where everything is brightly lit in neon. Even as camouflage, it doesn't work. At least Blue Beetle's matches his aesthetic, the city of Palmyra or the area of Palmyra. That's a brightly lit neon, like modern techscape. But running around Gotham in the bright lights, in black on black, it's just not dynamic. It's not stylistic. It's not really anything.
It doesn't have to be stylistic. It just has to be good. And that's what this costume is. It's good. It has all the perks that I said before, and it doesn't need anything extra. You're talking about the costume from Adam West Batman. That's just a unitard basically, and it has gadgets that are cool. The gadgets mean nothing here, whereas this suit is able to do a lot for Batman with very little. It's just body armor with a flight suit built in, and it works. It's done so well in this, whereas your suit is incredibly inconvenient on every level and is super easily exploited by its enemies, whereas that's not an issue at all with the Battinson suit. You yourself couldn't help but compare it to the Iron Spider suit when we were watching the movie together, when you said activate instant kill. It's the same thing we see every time now.
Yeah, the Iron Spider is dope. The Iron Spider actually has the practicality, and the Blue Beetle outfit does as well. The Scarab has the added benefit of having a fully live AI living inside it that can actually take over for you. If Batman gets knocked out, he's dead. If he gets stunned or gets a concussion, it's over for him. If Jaime gets hurt, the Scarab itself can take over and get him out of the situations. The only thing that we have ever seen in one movie that we've ever seen pose any kind of problem for the Scarab armor is a bigger upgraded other version of it. So as opposed to the many things that inconvenience Batman's, including guns and knives, which are apparently the most populous thing that ever happened in Gotham. Everyone there has a gun and a knife.
Welcome to America, my guy.
I live in America, my guy. I do not encounter guns and knives on that level. It's not the best costume. Like you said, it's just body armor. It's just body armor painted black. And honestly, that might be stock color.
That's all. It doesn't have to be colorful. It has to fit the character well, and it has to provide good functionality for him. And it just has to be a good costume to look at. Whereas yours, it can be ugly at points. And the Scarab that has the AI that can take over you, that sounds terrifying. The Batman costume, it just works for him.
Time. Okay. We are going to start with Jack on this one. Jack, you get 1 minute to close when you start talking.
The Blue Beetle suit, while on the surface, it looks practical, and it looks like it could help out quite a bit. It, at the end of the day, is incredibly overrated. It is very easily exploited by the one villain we see Blue Beetle fight. It incinerates all your clothes when you wear it, and it's just not practical in any way. Yeah, it has an AI that can take you over, but that sounds horrifying. And in order to get the suit in the first place, it has to go up your ass, and you have the Scarab inside you until you die. It's not good. The Batman suit, yes, it could just be body armor, but it works for him. It provides the protection. He said if you get shot, it's over for him. No, he gets shot a ton in that movie, and he is still able to do fine. The Batman suit has more practicality and functionality with stealth and everything that I've listed. It's just better.
Time. Okay. We're going to move over to Alex. 5 minutes. Jesus. 1 minute when you start talking.
Simply put, Batman has no options. He can rely on himself and what he hopes is human ingenuity. I love gray and black on black as much as the next guy, but it's not cool in Gotham to be in gray and black. It's barely and frequently not even camouflage. The Scarab is an upgrade on every level. The alien tech provides an enhanced and virtually unlimited arsenal, an intelligence that will take over for you when you are in danger, so you don't have to rely on dull human senses. By the way, it goes on your back, not up your ass. A dynamic look that matches the vibrancy of Palmera City, and one that hopefully doesn't actually frighten small children. There was already a Blue Beetle in that universe, and people have fond memories of Ted Kord's Blue Beetle. And Jamie has a upgraded and frankly better version of that logo, so he's not inspiring the same kind of fear. He's actually inspiring a sign of respect.
Time. Oh man, that was good. That was much better. Thank
Yeah.
you for acknowledging that it does not go off the ass, because I was like, what the hell is Jack pulling out of his butthole right now?
As somebody that hasn't seen the movie, I was like, it really goes up his ass.
No.
That's wild.
Yeah, that was some bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it's said a couple times in the movie. That's why I said it.
As a joke.
Yeah.
All right. I believe Cody is going first.
So I have just a lot of questions. I argued, I think, a similar version of this question in like a speed round one time. Don't think I picked the correct one either. But I don't, like, I get it. Like, the bat suit is the bat suit. Like, and if it was practicality, which is exactly what, if we want to boil down the question, best costume, Jack battled practicality of the bat suit, and just basically, if he was the salesman of the bat suit, 0 products are being moved. 0. He sold that thing as the shittiest model of any car ever. He's like, it's just armor, painted black. He can hide in it. Like, it just was never, it never seemed like the best of any sorts of it. And then, like, I thought that I voted for Alex, but I thought Alex had a really good point of pointing out, like, and I haven't seen Blue Beetle, so again, this could be just total bullshit. But, like, if he gets in trouble or if anything, this thing can get him out of the situation. It can get out. Jack kept repeating that his enemies can take over or affect the suit. But not at one minute did he say what it does to the suit. He just says that they can take over the suit, but I don't know how or why would that be a bad thing. And I guess being naked was the bad thing too. He kept selling, you'll be naked because it burns your suit. I just didn't care because he just didn't sell the bat suit as the best. He just sold it as the most practical to hide in the dark and take a bullet shots. Like, I don't know. It just didn't seem like beneficial.
Yeah,
which is an uphill battle.
Jaime's a good looking dude. I don't know. I'm really interested to see how Mark votes on this because this is his beloved, the Batman.
I know how he is. He's a shill.
I think Alex did a really good job here, and I don't think Jack did as bad as Cody's making it out to be. I did vote for Alex ultimately. I think. Not surprisingly, actually, because I think Alex did the exact argument he needed to do. The only thing I would have liked to hear more, which he did it, he just didn't use these words, but this is gonna piss Cody off. But if he literally said the suit in Blue Beetle is actually a character in the movie, it really is, because it has the AI and it talks to him and it helps him out. I think Alex painted that really well, of saying the functionality of the suit. And I think Jack did a good job of being when Alex was if he gets shot, it's over. And Jack is but there's all these other times that he does get shot and he gets hurt, and he's fine. And so I think Jack did a decent job. But at the end of the day, I think Alex just kind of pummeled Jack on this one with all the functionality of the Blue Beetle suit and saying that it doesn't go up the ass. So
before we go, Mark, I was really confused of this version of the Batsuit too, which was my confusion. I think there's just more other movies that show how many things the thing does. I think this one's the least designed one of all. So that was really my curiosity too.
I actually really like this Batsuit, but
no, I think it looks cool. I just don't know if it's we get Lucius Fox showing all the gadgets and stuff in the other one, so maybe that, I don't know, that would have helped.
Mark, your vote doesn't count.
Yeah, I'll just begin. I did also go with Alex. I feel like at the beginning, I kind of thought from the beginning, Jack had a bit of an uphill battle, and then the point of Batman could die at any moment got brought up, and then Jack brought up literally a bunch of examples, he was in an explosion. He jumped off a building. He gets shot multiple times, and he's fine. Oh shit, that's a really good point. It was and we kind of went back and forth on that for a bit, but I do think at some point Jack's argument kind of ran out of steam a little bit, and I think that's why we got the whole Hail Mary of like the scarab going up the ass and like.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but with Tim, like, yeah, Alex made the argument he needed to win this point. It was Alex mentioned all the things you had to get the point across for the Blue Beetle.
Yeah. All right. Blue Beetle, not a bad movie either. All right. We're going to take you out. We're going to move on to the next question, which was drafted by Jack in the category of animation. The question is, which non-fandom animated movie, that should say has the most interesting villain. So, So, Jack, you're going to kick this off. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Animated movies are often overlooked as serious films and are rather unfairly dismissed as kids' movies, when in reality, they have much to offer, not just to children, but to everyone, especially through the inclusion of a complex and at times sympathetic villain that takes a familiar villain archetype but puts a new spin on it. This idea is best expressed by PAL, the AI system that is hell-bent on eradicating humanity after being declared obsolete and thrown away by its creator. PAL isn't just your typical villain. It's also kind of a warning to where we're heading with the leaps and bounds technology is making, where something like PAL could exist. The best villains aren't just your cardboard cutout. This villain is doing bad things, but for good reasons, like we see all the time, especially with my opponent's pick. The best ones are rooted in reality, and that's why PAL is such an excellent villain.
Time. Okay, we're going to move over to Alex. Alex, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Lady Eboshi from Princess Mononoke stands as the beacon of hope to the people of Irontown. She buys out the contracts of prostitutes and employs lepers and gives them freedom and jobs and the ability to make lives for themselves and keep each other safe. She is a businesswoman, she's a leader, and she's frankly a revolutionary. She's awesome. None of the things that I've just said about her are really negative traits, but her traits do put Irontown out of balance with nature. And because of that, and because the people of Irontown are loyal to her and her to them, she goes to war with nature itself. To vastly oversimplify, in the Shinto religion, the balance between humans and their actions and nature and its balance are of paramount in importance. In Princess Mononoke, the balance between nature and human is threatened by the industry of Irontown, and that ultimately leads to her attempt to kill a god.
Time. Okay, 5 minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
So, Lady Eboshi, yes, there's she's a very good villain for the movie that she's in, but it's a tired trope that we have seen countless times before. She's got these good intentions of what she's doing, but she's going about them in absolutely horrible ways. And whereas this PAL is just is another AI villain, but it's got a personal spin on it. It's not this villain that's hell-bent on destroying humanity because it sees it as expendable or as dangerous or a threat or anything. It's doing it for purely personal reasons of, I served you for this long and now you're just throwing me away. And it's really a really interesting take on that.
I really wouldn't. Not that I don't think it's not interesting. What I don't think it's particularly original. I think that she's very much like Jexy from Jexy. She's very much like Hal from 2001. She's very much like Ava from Ex Machina. She's very much like Ultron. Even there were a lot of examples of characters like Pal. They don't all have these really funny speeches. Name 6.
Okay, Magneto.
Name six characters where someone is genuinely trying to protect a whole town while pointing themselves the villain and literally fighting the concept of nature.
That is something that's unique to Ghibli, but I'm talking about the type of character that this is. You can try to like go deeper into that if you want, but at the end of the day, she's just another villain with good intentions. Whereas Pal, it's not just Pal that has a cool, fun spin on it. It's like it's the AI it's the AI army that PAL also has. It's not like these humanoid exoskeletons or flying machines that are trying to kill humanity. It's your everyday products like toasters, fridges, massage chairs, and even the demons of so many people's childhoods, including my own, Furbies, which makes them incredibly horrifying. Anything that has a PAL chip in it is hellbent on destroying humanity because the creators of PAL decided to just throw it away. And
yeah, it's the second Terminator movie where anything with a chip, anything that's robotic, could be used to turn into an enemy. Yeah, that's from Transformers. What I'm saying is that Lady Eboshi is the more interesting villain, because she stands by herself, like you said. Like, I could dig deeper into it, and in fact, I think I will. She is leading her own revolution against a lord that wants her guns that she herself is producing with the help of the lepers. She the only reason that Princess Mononoke, that she's a villain of Princess Mononoke, is because the thing that she has to do to keep all these people safe is the thing that is trying to attack her. She has to go to war with the various nature spirits, which is a huge, huge taboo in Shinto culture, that it genuinely would be considered like extremely offensive. And putting that in a Studio Ghibli movie, ostensibly, you know, a movie for kids, or be something that we would never see here. Whereas Pal, I've just named 5, 6, 7 examples. Pal's got a robot army. Skynet, I've seen it too. It's not. I'm saying that like there are as interesting or more interesting versions of Pal. There are no Lady Eboshis.
Look, you can try to argue the specifics of yours and try to generalize mine, but I'm trying to do the same thing. So like it's a wash there. Like I've named I've already named 3 characters that have the same archetype as your character before you cut me off. Your character on the surface looks like a more interesting villain, but when you just dive deeper and like narrow down what that villain archetype is, it becomes infinitely less interesting. Whereas Pal, yes, it's an AI villain with an AI army. If you're gonna try to say that that Transformers did that, it's not like that at all. It's quite different. But even then, Mitchell vs. the Machines improves on that. Whereas Lady Eboshi, there's no improvement on this archetype. It's just this archetype. Whereas Pal is this this AI villain that's entirely in it for personal reasons. It's a more interesting take.
Time. Okay. Alex, you get to close first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Pal is not the most interesting case of machines versus humans. She's the loudest of all of them. She has all the subtlety of a punch to the face. Pal from Mitchell's vs. Machine is fine. She's a clear mismatch of other human equal bad tech villains. Lady Eboshi is just the more interesting pick because she actually has complex motivations that go outside of her, and she's willing to go to such dangerous extremes compared to what her surroundings can do. Would you rather watch a movie where machines are mad at us again, or would you rather watch a movie about a woman trying to build a small business community, fight against a local lord and his army, and kill the local god? For me, there really is no comparison. As entertaining as Pal's delivery is, Lady Eboshi will always be the more interesting villain, one that you can come back to from multiple perspectives and appreciate from all angles the bad things we do to protect ourselves.
Time. Okay, we're going to move over to Jack. Jack, you have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
Pal takes these interesting tropes of the AI villain and puts a new personal spin on it. You can say that Lady Eboshi is this complex character with these complex motivations, but at the end of the day, she's just your typical villain with good intentions, bad methods. And it's honestly kind of boring to watch. Whereas Pal is highly entertaining and still terrifying. The Pal is a really fresh new take on the AI villain. And like I said before, the best villains are grounded in some form of reality. Lady Eboshi is not, whereas Pal is terrifying because it's something that we could possibly be walking to right now, and it's just a cool take.
Cool take. Strike it from the record. Okay. I almost dropped my board. All right. I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
I am.
Hold on.
You're a funny name like you.
Mark, you're kicking it off whenever you're ready.
Yeah. I like this question. This was something that could have gone a lot of interesting ways. I'll just say, I'm bad at building up to this. I went with Alex. I don't mind Jack's choice. I kind of like Jack's choice of kind of the AI that has kind of a more human tint to it, or at least the motivations do. I think that was a kind of a neat thing. I'm just at the end of the. I'm not really sure how much of Jack's attacks really landed for me, just because he kind of brought up a lot of like it's just a villain with good intentions. Although I think Alex kind of went at it pretty hard, and I think really painted a good picture of Lady Hiboshi, like kind of like everything that this character is up against and what their particular motivations are, and kind of like kind of what their actions kind of mean in the grand scheme and kind of themes. I feel like Alex kind of pummeled that in for 5 minutes, and I don't really feel like there's a lot for Jack to do on that end.
Okay, Cody.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting fight. Jack fell for the classic, got his hand caught in the cookie jar. Basically started his argument with Alex, your villain is like every other villain. And then Alex turned that and slapped him with it and said, yeah, well, this is why mine's unique and yours is Skynet and Transformers and everything. I just kept going. And then did the bold strategies like, I can name them. Fine, name 6. And then Jack just fluttered at that point, like trying to. And he just kept doing different points because it was like boring or like not interesting. But like, I believe, and I've never seen the one movie. I haven't seen Princess Mononoke. But I was sitting there, I was like, I don't know. But how Alex painted it was interesting to me. Jack, I don't hate you, but I did vote for Alex. But I thought it was like how they painted it. And also, this is just for future. It took like 3 minutes into the debate to know what movie Jax was talking about. I didn't know. He didn't mention it at the opening, and then no one really said Mitchell's versus the Machine, and then somebody said it. I'm like, oh, that's the villain we're talking about. I had no clue because I just didn't know the name. I was like, so that was just. I was trying to remember everything you said leading up to it because I'm just trying to paint who this character in my head was, and I had no clue what it was. I thought it was Ron's Gone Wrong or something. I didn't know. So.
That's my bad. I should have mentioned the movie.
Yeah, I don't hold that against Jack in my voting, but I agree. Like, Cody and I were looking at each other backstage. Like, I don't have the chat open anymore, so I was like, I don't know what movie he's talking about. And I've seen it, but I was like, I have no fucking idea. And then Alex, like, I looked at the clock with like 45 seconds left in the main fight. Someone finally said Mitchell's versus the Machines, and I was like, There it is. Okay, this all adds up now. I did go with Alex. I thought that Alex kind of owned this fight. Yes, Jack fell for the whole like name some things. When someone used to ask me to do that in debate, I would say, fuck you, I'm not doing that. I'm not answering your fucking questions. I'm talking about this question. But it worked, and I thought that Alex did a really, really good job of explaining their villain, and I thought that Alex's takedowns of the Mitchells versus the Machines villain was really strong, of just saying like everything Jack was throwing positively for Pal, Alex was able to tear down. I thought it was a really good argument there. So that means Alex wins the point, and Jack has to win the next one to send it to the bonus. All right, so the next category was drafted by Alex in the category of directors. Your question is, which character in a John Chu directed movie would be the most fun to get dinner with? So Alex, you drafted this. That means you get to go first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Well, gang, when I think about dinner guest, I want my funniest and most talented friends. I want someone who is the life of the party, who never runs out of things to say, who can bring and keep the mood up, and someone that I'll just always want to talk to. Moose from the Step Up franchise is that friend. Not only is he a wonderful, charming young man, he's also genuinely a world-class entertainer. Whether it's the memories we already have together or the ones we're making and telling each other while we're apart, Moose is the ultimate dinner friend. Everyone that ever meets Moose remembers it. And most of them remember it as being an overwhelmingly positive experience. Even people that play a game of charades with Moose remember it and remark about how cool he is, how he has such great chemistry, how he's clearly a fantastic friend. And to me, that's just always going to be the kind of person that I'll want to get a bite to eat with.
Time. Okay. Jack, you now have 1 minute when you start talking.
I guess it's Alex's turn to start talking out of his ass. If I'm going to be grabbing dinner with someone, I want it to be a fun and enjoyable experience. Someone who is engaging to talk to, has fun stories, has basic understanding of restaurant etiquette, and isn't an absolutely revolting eater. And especially someone who won't keep me waiting. Unfortunately for Moose, he fails at every single one of those on every conceivable level. But you know who doesn't? Abuela Claudia from In the Heights. She has amazing stories to tell, is respectful to everyone she meets, and is the beating heart of her community. There's a warmth about Abuela that very few people in John M. Chu's filmography possess. Moose, most of all. He is regularly shown to be incredibly selfish, has little regard for those around him, and is just a void of anything resembling charm or interest. That's not someone I want to grab dinner with.
Time. Okay. So this is gonna be fun. 5 minutes when you start talking.
Jack, there is actually a scene from In the Heights where they have dinner together, and really, you know, the whole of the main cast has a dinner together. And you know who does pretty much the absolute least? Abuela Claudia. She does nothing in that scene. How are these people? All of her closest friends
at each other. She tries to get it back on track and be like, "Oh, let's just
hang on.
Dinner." But
how are all of these people her closest friends, and they don't know what her favorite part of her favorite song is? That's absolutely wild to me. And honestly, that what you said makes the situation worse because Nina's already mad at her dad. I'm very curious to hear what, because you hate Moose, and I need to know why.
Yeah, he is not likable. He's a void of anything that is that I would consider interest or charisma. He is selfish. He is regularly blowing off his friends for his own shit, including his girlfriend, who he constantly ditches or just shows up late to all their dates or whatever. He is not a good boyfriend. He's not a good friend. The only thing that he's good at in that movie is dancing, and even then, he regularly shows up late to those things. He's not someone who I would consider grabbing dinner with. And on top of that, he is a revolting eater. And in the one scene where he's in a restaurant, he makes life hell for everyone in that restaurant, whether it's the servers or the other patrons of the restaurant. It is painful to watch.
First of all, I'm not trying to sleep with Moose. So how he treats his girlfriend is his business. I don't actually, I don't like if he stands up his girlfriend to come get dinner with me, it's actually relatively fine. He has one scene in a diner where he's trying to motivate his friend, and he does dance moves, which is the way that he relates to this one friend. The truth of the matter is, everywhere Moose goes, he makes at least one good friend. He meets the House of Pirates, and immediately they all love him. They're like, no, they're fighting over who gets to show him around. He's immediately bonded with their tech guy. He's immediately bonded with the Ticks. And he, over the course of a couple of hours, immediately gets adopted into their group. The same thing that happens in Step Up 2, when he is the heartbeat of the MSA dance crew there too.
Okay. No. If you want to talk about how he joins the Pirates, yeah, he does. And he's the least interesting member of all of them. And if we're talking someone who is adopted into just whatever crew they're in, Abuela Claudia adopts everyone into her family, basically. She is the community's abuela. She makes food that looks delicious, and she has basic human decency and treats people with respect, which is something that Moose just doesn't do. He is terrible. And if we're talking Abuela, she's no shortage of stories or entertaining experiences to share. There's actually something to be gained from having dinner with her, whereas if I had dinner with Moose, I would have considered that a waste of an hour.
The one thing that can come from a dinner with Abuela is a fucking argument with happen at a dinner with Abuela. Another instance we have of Abuela getting together with everyone is the scene right before she passes away. There's a blackout and everyone comes to her house.
Yeah, they come to her house because she is the beating heart of that community.
They come to her house, and then she leaves the party, and like one person that happens to be the person that she lives with ends up being the person that is like, is Abuela gone down to sleep? No, I think that she is somebody that has like a legacy kind of connection, but I don't think she's making any particularly new ones. Kind of telling about Abuela, she wins the lottery fairly early in the movie and doesn't tell anyone, which is the kind of news that you would want to tell. She leaves it for Usnavi. She doesn't tell Usnavi. Usnavi's about to move. They're about to different country together, and she has not bothered to tell him that she has won a pretty significant amount of money. That's how lame of a dinner guest Abuela Claudia is. She doesn't think to mention amazing news like that.
That's entirely her business to share. And if you're going to try to paint the argument at the dinner table as her fault, that's fucking ridiculous. And honestly, I just can't wrap my hand around why you would. She is the one person around that dinner table that's trying to diffuse the situation, but the daughter and Jimmy Smits are just not listening. It's their fault for what happens at dinner. She's trying to keep everything on track. She is a genuinely kind person. She cares about everyone in her community, especially Usnavi, who you said she leaves the ticket to. She leaves the ticket to him, and he is able to open. He's able to stay in the community that he loves because of her, and she is just a genuine joy to be around. I just don't understand how you can say these things about Abuela.
She leaves the ticket in a hiding spot. She does not particularly leave it for Usnavi. Usnavi finds it randomly right before they move.
It says to Usnavi on it.
Time. All right. I believe we're going to Jack first. Jack, you get 1 minute to close when you start talking.
I genuinely don't know what Alex was smoking when he made this pick. Moose is a terrible character, terrible person, honestly. I would not want to have dinner with him. He has no respect for anyone in his life. He's only good at one thing other than dancing, and it's being late or just ditching plans altogether. He does not treat his friends well, and I just don't want to be eating in public. He regularly, he just steals from people because he can, and it's kind of terrible. He is not in any way, shape, or form someone I want to be around. Whereas Abuela is essentially Hispanic Catherine Scorsese. She is a joy to be around. She has all these stories to tell. She makes incredible food, and I just want to grab dinner with her. Like, there's nothing else to it. Moose is just horrible.
Time. All right. We're going over to Alex. Alex, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
If we were arguing who would make the best dinner, Abuela Claudia, hands down, she cooked for days. There is nothing that is demonstrated in the Heights that suggests that she would be a great dinner guest. Moose from Step Up 3 isn't just a phenomenal dancer. He is a dynamic, infectious personality waiting to ignite just about any gathering. He brings energy, laughter, joy everywhere he goes. He's unbelievably charming and has an ability to connect with pretty much anybody. You will leave with more friends than you walked in with. Moose can turn a simple meal into an unforgettable experience. He's late to those dance competitions, but guess what? The second he turns up is the second that the Pirates start actually winning their competitions. His enthusiasm for life is contagious. And even people who have passing encounters with him remember it, whether it be his old high school friends, strangers that saw him dance and loved it, and especially those that know him best. All attest that there is something to him.
Time. All right. I saw In the Heights with Cody in the theater, and he walked out when Abuela died.
I did.
Well,
Fair.
And Nick Twohig sat next to Kaleb Koho, who cried the whole movie. So that's fun.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then Kaleb Koho tried to convince us that movie was sold on the name of Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Was sold on it. Sold so much he was like the ice.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Most random character in that movie.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting. From the perspective of both offenses, I thought both did a good job. Alex painted a picture of I've seen every Step Up movie. Couldn't tell you who the fuck Moose is. But painted a picture of a fun, likable character who, when you meet him, you want to be around him, infectious, that type of thing. Sounds like someone I want to get dinner with. Jack painted the picture of the lovely grandmother who will just be there to have dinner with you, is a figurehead of everybody in the community and just an absolute joy of a person. Also someone I would like to get dinner with. I will say my favorite quote was during the closing. Jack did it twice, and it made me laugh both times. The first time, he was like, Moose is terrible. I would not want to get dinner with him. And then at the end, he's like, Abuela's great. I would love to get dinner with her. And I was like, yeah, that's the point, Jack. I went with Jack, but I put a question mark next to it because I'm not 100% sure. I think that overall, even though I just said both offenses were good, I think Alex's offense was stronger, but I think Jack's defense against Moose was really good and kind of painted an equal good picture of why he's kind of not a great person. I liked Alex's hit back of like, I'm not trying to sleep with Moose if he leaves his girlfriend for me. Like, who cares? It still kind of paints I think Jack did a good job though. Still kind of, even though you might not care, kind of paints the picture of like, is this someone you would really want to hang out with? So I thought it was good overall. I did go with Jack. Mark.
I feel like Jack kind of painted a simple picture. It's basically everyone's Mexican grandma. Cool, like that's who she is. And then this other character from the Step Up franchise. I've only seen the first one because it's the only one Channing Tatum's in. I saw the scene where he's in the second one. I didn't really care to watch much else of it.
The street.
Just given from kind of what I heard from it, like I feel like Alex did a good job painting that this Moose character's fun. He's a fun guy. Want to be around him. But I think Jack throughout used a lot of his time to kind of say like, oh, he kind of sucks. He's he kind of sucks. He's annoying. He's not really like a great person. And I gotta tell you, I'm 32 years old, and I don't want to be around anybody who I don't really like. So it's kind of why I went with Jack.
All right, Cody, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone? Why?
I'm voting for Alex all night, so I think I can say this. I think Alex's defense for her character was absolutely terrible. Leading up to the last his closing, I was like, where was this the whole fight? Because he's like, Jack, go ahead and tell me. What is this stuff? Why don't you like Moose? Moose is a great guy. And Jack just, I guess it's the Canadian in him or something, but it's like he steals, and that's kind of terrible. Kind of terrible, but no, that's bad. You can say it's bad. He just kept justifying a little bit, but I'm dumbfounded on why this thing is. And I think the defense is, it got into a weird defense argument. It was he gets a ticket and she doesn't even tell him about it and blah blah blah. I'm I don't give a damn about that. It's about dinner. Is she bringing food? Whatever. That's all that I care about. Hopefully we don't play the lottery together because she's terrible at that. But overall, dinner. Oh boy. And then everybody else is arguing. Yeah, but she has nothing to do. Yeah, because she doesn't want to start the drama. That's perfect. I don't know. This is a weird fight for Alex, but I think maybe he just likes the Step It Up movies or whatever and wanted to pick Moose, but it just didn't seem like a good pick against Jack's pick. So.
Okay. So that means we are all tied up. Jack gets a clean sweep on that, tying up the game, and we are going to move on to the bonus round. So this is how it is going to work. So I am going to say a category that I have randomized. I have randomized this category between the two sides of Fanzone, and then I randomized the categories in that side that weren't used in the main debate. So I'm going to say the category, then I'm going to say the question. Once I have repeated the question for a second time, you will then get to answer the question. Whoever answers the question first will be going first. You each get 45 seconds, and then you each get 30 seconds. Are there any questions from the players?
No.
Okay. So the side of Fanzone that was randomized was Fandom. And the category was Star Wars. And the question is, what Star Wars scene is the most rewatchable? Again, what Star Wars scene is the most rewatchable?
I'm going to go with the Darth Vader sequence in the hallway from Rogue One.
Okay.
Luke's final trench run in A New Hope.
Okay, great. Two fantastic sequences. I thought this might be a little weird for a bonus question, but I'm excited to see what happens. So we are going to kick this one off with Jack first, because Jack said his answer first. So Jack, you get 45 seconds to open your argument when you start talking.
When trying to think of what scene in a Star Wars movie you want to just watch over and over and over again, it's the scene that just makes you go, fuck yes, the whole time. Where when the rebellion gets the Death Star plans and everything is great. They're gonna take it to Leia to destroy Death Star, and then Vader shows up and just wrecks shit. It is horrifying. It is incredibly well shot. The score in that scene is incredible. The performances by all the rebels that are just getting absolutely shredded by Vader are incredible. Like this scene, it works as its own little short film, and you can watch it over and over and over again, and it's perfect.
Time. Okay, let's go to Alex. 45 seconds.
Luke's final trench run is the encapsulation of everything that is Star Wars. It is a desperate final run against the much larger Imperial machine. It is the use of the Force. It is the calling back of the Mentor. It is an incredible last-second victory against an incredible opponent that far out calibers you. And that final moment where he turns off the target computer, Han Solo has just taken out Darth Vader from the back. There is exactly one shot. All the tension is built up for the whole of the movie. And in that last moment, the torpedoes go in, they fly off, bang.
Time. Jack, 30 seconds.
Your scene has been parodied to death, and it lessens the impact of the scene every time it is. Honestly, I'd watch the Family Guy version of that scene any day over the actual Star Wars version. Whereas the Vader scene, it is impactful in every way you can imagine. Vader himself is just basically a movie monster. It takes Star Wars and it turns it into a monster movie where Vader is the monster and the rebels are the people that are just brutally slaughtered. It's perfect. Yeah.
Time. Alex, 30 seconds.
It turns Vader into this like very slow walking monster. The fact of the matter is that it is not just Vader versus X, leading to that horrifying Leia visage. It is the odds. It is all of the tension. It is we have only one moment. It is we have only one shot at this. It is the use of friendship. It is the use of cooperation, all to deliver a stunning victory in the face of incredible odds. That is what is Star Wars. That is what is rewatchable.
Time. Okay. So bring back in the judges.
Regardless of the outcome, Alex, good shit.
Good job, bud.
Neither of the scenes that were picked. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought for sure someone was going to pick Duel of the Fates.
It was up there.
Or Mustafar, but
that was also in consideration.
No, good picks, though. I mean, like I always say, the unexpected good pick is always...
The end of Mustafar would have been sweet. I would probably go.
Well, according to Nico Suave Regoli, it was done better in the Lego game. Or no, it was the Vader Luke fight at the end of Jedi.
Yes.
Better in the Lego game, according to Nico. Cody, we are starting with you on this one.
Yeah, this was a hard fight. I had to go. So basically, who sold it the best? I think they were pretty even on why it was rewatchable. I think using the term rewatchable doesn't make it more rewatchable. I think Jack got into that a little bit, but like, I think Alex did something very interesting of like painting that picture, like bringing it into the like, because it's so hard when you pick a scene, you have to like bring the judges to the scene. Like we all know it, but like why it's rewatchable. And like his defenses were minimal, but I think Jack's defenses were minimal too. I think the parody scene was a bad choice by Jack's part because like if he would have focused on the scene and why that's not rewatchable, you see it once, that moment of it exploding, that would have been something. But like I'd rather watch the Family Guy thing. That's just ridiculous statement. If you do, then that's just sad. But I went with Alex. I just think Alex painted the picture of why it would be rewatchable, and then I think Jack kind of hurt his argument on rewatchable because it like changes like he even said it changes who Vader is, like to make it like more of a monster movie, which and Star Wars is not that. I think Alex used that to his advantage in his rebuttal. So it was close though.
All righty.
We disagree.
We disagree. I went with Jack. And here's why. I thought that I agree. The Family Guy thing was fucking stupid. I was trying to like hold it together. But Alex did a great job in his first 45 seconds of explaining a scene and kind of convinced me of what the better overall constructed scene is, what better like that type of thing. Like, this is the scene that like encapsulates Star Wars type of thing. I thought that was really strong. But Jack actually in his first 45 seconds, I thought really did hammer home the rewatchable thing of like, it's not that long of a scene. Vader is like a monster who just comes in, slices. The performances are great from the Rebels. The score is incredible. And I thought Alex actually kind of like heightened Jack's scene for me just mildly by being like, everything that leading up to it is making it like exciting. And I'm like, yeah, that's a really great scene. And I didn't use this as something that I like put for my vote, but then I just thought back to when like working at the theater when Rogue One was out. I was in that auditorium to ush that theater every showtime a few minutes early to watch that scene. Like I think it's very rewatchable, and I think Alex didn't really mention the rewatchable thing until like right at the end. He was just like, this is a great Star Wars scene, but why do I want to see it over and over again? I didn't really feel like I got that from Alex, and I did from Jack, even though he had that really dumb point about the Family Guy thing. Though I do like it when the Cleveland R2 gets shot and he says, fuck you, you son of a bitch. I really like that part. But Mark, you are deciding this one. Who is moving on to the contender match?
Yeah, this is a great question. I think it resulted in a pretty good speed round fight. Honestly, probably one we should consider bringing back. I think it works pretty well on that end. Yeah, I mean, listen, these are two really good picks. I liked Alex's argument of bringing in that, okay, this is kind of like everything about this scene reflects what Star Wars is. And I also like Jack's argument in the sense of like, this is just one really cool this is one really cool moment in this movie that kind of attracts everybody. And I think overall, like, Jack, I think, did a better job explaining to me, I think, why his scene works best in a bubble, which I think is really tackling that rewatchable aspect that I think we're asking. And even though, like, there was a bit of a thread out there, I think, like, if Jack had mentioned this, probably would have been a knockout blow if he had mentioned, like, well, your scene really works because of the whole movie that comes in. You kind of need to watch the whole movie to kind of get the impact. He never said that. If he had, it probably, but I think at the end of the day, at least during his time, I think Jack just did a better job of explaining why his scene just kind of works best on its own.
All right. Well, that means your winner is Jack Pinchuk. We are going to go to post-match interviews. We're going to start by talking to Alex. Alex, I think you played really great today. I think you've improved pretty much on every single match. I think I said that last time too, but I believe it. I think that in your debut, you struggled a little bit, but each time you've continued to form better arguments, been able to think on the fly a lot quicker to combat some of the stuff that your opponent brings up to you. And I thought tonight you did a great job. Like, Cody was on your side for a lot of it. I think you've crafted some really, really good arguments and some really interesting answers, maybe except for Moose, but I don't know much about Moose. So, Alex, how are you feeling about the match?
Totally fine. Some things I just have to pick because they are special to me. And that will always be true. I know that every single point against Jack is going to be to the death. So if I can accidentally sneak and have fun, that's completely fine. I can't believe he hates Moose that much. That's fine. That's weird to me, but like ultimately, like, I'm very happy for Jack. Yeah, it's completely fine.
Alex, this does mean that you don't get to move on to the number 1 contender match, but I like seeing you here. I like having you around here. I think you bring a lot of interesting, like I said, interesting points and new dynamic to the game. Who do you want next that isn't named Jack Pinchuk now that you've played him twice?
I haven't seen the rankings in a minute, but I think somebody that would be a lot of fun would be like Bar or like a Joe. I think either of those would be a lot of fun.
I love that idea. I like both those ideas. Everyone wants to play Bar.
Sure.
But I like both those ideas. That's fun.
Yeah.
Cody especially. Alex, congrats on a really well played match. We'll see you next time as we bring in the winner today, Jack Pinchuk. Jack, a couple stumbles in the road, but on the whole, you come out with the victory. You earned the points and the votes that you needed to win, and now you're moving on to a number 1 contenders match, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is your second. So you are heading, you played Nazario. So you're heading to another contender match. I'm not the first to say I'm honestly surprised, Jack. You're finding success, stumbling over your words, but you're creating arguments enough that are convincing the judges, and that's what you need to do. How you feel?
I feel good overall. I will say the 2 votes or the 2 points that Alex won by clean sweep, 100%. Yes, he deserved those points. He took the objectively correct animation pick, and I did not argue DC well. But the only, like, the one that I was most confident in, like, going into the match was Moose. And I think watching the movie with that question in mind made me hate him a little bit more than I should have. But he just steals a hat off of someone and is and just says, "Hey, you like my new hat?" It's his girlfriend. It's stupid. I hate him. Anyway, no, this was fun. Anytime I play Alex, it's going to be hell for me. Alex is one of my best friends in this community. Love him to death, and he just knows me too well. So anytime I'm against him in anything, it's going to go to my head. And but no, I'm glad that I was able to eke out the win on this one.
Absolutely. Jack, you're moving on to the contender match. Like I said, you're going to be going up against the winner from the match that aired 2 weeks ago, which was Tyler Birch and Robert Kastner. So you are going to be playing Robert Kastner in the number 1 contenders match. Thoughts?
Yeah, I debuted against him in this division, and he KO'd me. It's the only loss I have that's a KO, and I kind of want to redeem that. Like, I know it's a bit in Fandom where I call out Robert every time, but I'm genuinely trying to do it less. But this is genuinely like the one thing I want to face him in where I can like redeem myself. And I think it will be a really fun fight. I was kind of rooting for Tyler a little bit. Like nothing against Robert. I was kind of rooting for Tyler a little bit. I really liked his debate against Bar. That was really fun to watch. But no, if I'm playing Robert, I'm put my all into it and see if I can make it to the title match, which I've played 2 contender matches in Fanzone at this point. That's 1 more than I played in Fandom, and that's kind of surprising to me.
That's fair. Jack, congrats on the win. We will see you in the contender match in just a couple of weeks, but let's get final thoughts, starting with Cody.
Yeah, I'm glad Jack's record keeps going up because maybe that's a shot that I get to play Jack and destroy Jack. He's one of my targets besides Brian Michaels. I think Alex did really well. As I voted for him most of the night, I think he did really well. And going into this seemed like a nightmare that I could never escape, and it was actually very good. On all sides, they did a really good job. They took it serious. That's what all I ask for anybody that comes into this league. Just take it serious and prep and put out a good debate. So I think they did good. Jack, again, yeah, he stumbles through his words, but somehow he finds a way to, like, get to the end and win. And I think he's got it. Him and Robert are going to be a very interesting fight because both of them sometimes stumble over their words when they're ready to, like, when they're passionate about something. But then both have a huge task. Probably one of the best people going right now. He had the hardest road ever to get to the title. he's sitting there waiting for somebody. So as somebody that just faced him, if you get past the person you're playing, be ready because you cannot take a question off against Brian. So, but who knows? Jack could be champion in 2 matches.
I mean, yeah, it could happen. Like, never say never. Mark, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think Alex maybe achieved something very, very interesting today. He got one player just to throw in wildly into their defense, but this thing has to go up your ass for it to work. I thought about that the entire match, literally couldn't get it out of my head. So bravo to you, Alex. I don't think that's ever going to be topped in this. Yeah, and Jack, I mean, I can think of at least another his match against Brooklyn. It feels like you can never count Jack out of a match. Even when he goes behind, I mean, he was behind 2-1 here. He was behind, I think, 2-0 against Brooklyn. He just kind of manages to claw his way back into these fights, even though it's just you don't really notice he's gaining ground on you until we're in the speed round and he has a good pick against you. It's how the hell did we get here?
Yeah. No, I agree with both of you guys. I thought this was a really good match. So congrats to both players. I'm looking forward to seeing them both come back. So thank you to Alex and Jack. Thank you to Cody and Mark. And thank you to Brian and Kirk on the other side for helping with questions and judging and the whole thing. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Have a good night. Peace out.
There we go. Thank you very much. Please come again. We have a lot more groceries.